Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's sports podcast. It's Friday, the 8th of July 2022. And without further ado, let's get on with this week's sports news. And we're going to start with Halifax Cricket League, looking back at last weekend's games and taking a quick look ahead to this week's fixtures. Looking back to last weekend, then we had a big victory for Bradshaw, home to Booth. They bowled Booth all out for 99, and they cleared the target 101 for 1, so won by 9 wickets. I wrote down they won by 10, but it was actually 9. In the bowling department, a great all-round performance by Bradshaw's bowlers. All 5 bowlers used took 2 wickets each, played their part, and then when it came to knocking off the runs, it was Matty Crowther mainly with an unbeaten half century. I think he scored 57 from rightly. 57 not out, and Piers Fisher scored 38. He was the only man, unfortunately, who didn't survive. But a comfortable victory for Bradshaw there. Sowerby Bridge, on the other hand, suffered a big defeat at the hands of Thornton away. They lost by, I think it was 136 runs. 136 runs, but the damage was done mainly by one man, Josh Hutchinson, who scored a fantastic 176 with the bat as Thornton put together 258 for 9. Valiant effort with a ball by Sam Mellor. He took 4 for 59, but when it came to batting, Josh Wood scored 43 and Chris Whitehill scored 34 not out, but it was again Josh Hutchinson with 5 for 30 who saw Thornton home to a massive win there. So they are currently 3rd in the division. Copley stay top, although they were beaten this last weekend. They lost at home to Whalley, should I say, by 22 runs. Whalley scoring 204 all out. Copley managing 182 for 7 in their innings, so not quite reaching the target at all there. With regards to the performance by Whalley, it was Chris Marsh with the bat, the opener. Marsh, he put on 70, scored 70 runs. For Copley in the bowling department, Alex Rowles took 4 for 64. And they were the 2 main performances of the game, as Copley tried in vain to reach their target, but couldn't quite get there, and they fell 22 runs short in that game. Elsewhere, we had Illingworth, who are 2nd in the table now. Copley still at the top, as I mentioned just now. Illingworth beat SBCI by 4 wickets. They bowled SBCI out for 96 and then they scored 100 runs for 6, should I say, when they battered. The main protagonist again for Illingworth has been many times this season, Matty Smith with the ball. He took 5 for 31. He did damage, and Illingworth saw it home fairly comfortably, really. 100 for 6. So could be a bit easier for themselves perhaps, but still got 4 wickets in hand. So yeah, they'll be happy with that, and they're still 2nd in the league, closing the gap, as are Thornton and Bradshaw. They're closing the gap on Copley a little bit, so it's nice and tight at the top, which is what I want to see. Mythe Royd beat Great Horton Park Chapel by 4 wickets. Great Horton Park Chapel 116 all out, and then Mythe Royd reached the target. They got 119 for 6 in 25.1 overs. Ricky Hassel took 5 for 40 in that innings, in vain really, after the batting collapse by Great Horton Park Chapel. So a welcome victory from Mythe Royd. They've moved up the table, I think, to 8th now, so their season's coming together a little bit better now. And then the other game, which I haven't mentioned so far, London and Foot, they beat Triangle by 5 wickets. There were some good performances in this game. Triangle scored 267 for 9 when they batted first. Tom Fryer scored 56, and Ed Denham got 53. Ludfoot's bowlers, Ryan Allen took 4 for 41. And then Ludfoot reached the target fairly easily in the end. We've got an over and 1 ball left, and they had 5 wickets to spare. They got 268 for 5. And Jacob Whitehouse, the opener, scored 51, but it was the 2 Jameses, James Yates, who got an unbeaten 50, and James Stott, who got an unbeaten 55 at Sordham home in that game, fairly easily really. With the ball, Nathan Madden took 4 for 52, a good effort by Nathan, but it wasn't enough, and it was a fairly comfortable victory, like I say, in the end for Ludfoot. So that brings us on to this week's games, and this weekend we've got Booth at home to Copley. We've got Bradshaw at home to Triangle, which is an important game there. Illingworth St Mary's at home to Sowerby Bridge. So obviously Sowerby Bridge need a good result, but Illingworth are performing really well at the moment. They'll be confident. Mythe Royd are at home to Thornton. SBCI are at home to London and Foot. and Whalley are at home to Great Orton Park Chapel. And the forecast for this weekend does look pretty good, I've got to say. From what I've seen, the forecast for the next few days is really good. So hopefully we'll get 6 full games in again tomorrow. And like I say, this season so far, the weather's been fairly kind to the team. So we haven't had too many disruptions or matches aborted because of the weather. I think it was 1 week really where there was sort of like any real disruption. So let's hope it continues that way for the rest of the season. Okay, moving on to talk about cricket still, but we'll talk about England. England managed to tie their series with India. The delayed 5th test from last season was held at Edgbaston starting last Friday, and on Tuesday England managed to chase down 377, I think it was, or 378, for the loss of just 3 wickets. Another fantastic attacking batting performance. Johnny Bairstow, Joe Root, both centuries. I think Joe Root 142 out and Johnny Bairstow 114. Saw England home really comfortably in the end with plenty of time to spare on the last day. I think it was more or less, I think it was dead on noon when they actually reached the target after starting the batting effort on Monday afternoon, and it was the 9th highest ever run chase in Test cricket history, the highest ever at Edgbaston, and England's highest ever chase. So yeah, fantastic positive cricket so far from the new leadership of Brendan McCullum and his captain Ben Stokes. Ben's not actually hit his straps yet with a bat, so wait till he gets into form as well. It'll be more threatening, especially for South Africa. That's the next test series. I think the first test starts on the 17th of August. We've got a bit of a break now because we're into the T20 and ODI series. First of all against India and then against South Africa. I think it's 3 T20s and then 3 ODIs against India, and then 3 ODIs and 3 T20s against South Africa. The first T20 against India took place last night. India ran out convincing winners. They won by 50 runs in the end. I think they scored 198 for 8. England fell well short, 148 all out. Not the best performance in Jos Buttler's first game as officially as captain. He got a golden duck. He wasn't the only one who suffered with the bat. Liam Livingston only scored 0 as well after 3 balls. Surya Kumar Yadav scored a great, I think it was 40 something, along with Hardik Pandya's 51 out, and he took 4 wickets, should I say, as well. And England were convincingly beaten. The second game is Saturday at I think it's at Edgbaston, and the third game is on Sunday at Trent Bridge. So as I was saying, as they go through the series, they get to the higher scoring grounds, and we got almost 200 last night. India, and they were a bit disappointed. To be fair, they started so well, but they fell away a little bit towards the end. But England's batting wasn't up to much. I've got to say I was surprised that England got 3 batsmen that can't really bat. And it's the only thing that really grates me about international cricket, especially England. They've managed to find bowlers that can't bat. Most countries' bowlers can bat properly, but we had 2 or 3 last night. Tamal Mills at number 9. He's number 11 really. Matt Parkinson doesn't appear to bat either, so it's not the only one. So, and Reece Topley can't bat either really. So the 3, and obviously in testing we've got Jimmy Anderson who can't bat. So anyway, that's one of those frustrations. But hopefully England will pull it round in the 2 games, turn the series round. But India have got 5 of their test players to come back into the squad for the last 2 games. England have sort of rested most of theirs, which is understandable with the effort they've put into their test matches. But we'll see how it goes. Sticking with T20 games, and Yorkshire into the T20 Blast finals for only the 3rd time in their history after an amazing victory the other night at Surrey. It looked like the game was gone from Yorkshire. Surrey going to the last over, and they only needed 5 runs off the last over, but a brilliant over by Jordan Thompson, including a great catch by Will Frayne and a misfield which led to a good run out by Tom Kohler-Cadmore behind the stumps. Saw them at home, and saw Alex Stewart look really upset. I think he assumed they were going to win. I think they assumed that Surrey, because they've been in such good form, they've got so much money and so many good players, but they were going to walk it, but they didn't, and they were beaten in the last few balls. So a bit sad for them. Kohler-Cadmore scored 62 runs when he batted as well, so it was a good performance all round from him. Will Frayne also put in a good performance with the bat. I think he scored 32 off about 15 balls, something like that, so he did really well. But that's a good performance by Yorkshire to get through to this finals day. Wouldn't it be great, as one friend from Mark from Cheshire said, if it could be a Yorkshire-Lancashire final. Hopefully they won't draw each other in the semi-final. Hampshire are already through as well. They beat Birmingham at Edgbaston last night by a large amount. They bowled, I think they got 186, 196 did Hampshire when they batted, and they bowled Birmingham out for 82, which was a bit of a shock. I think a lot of people expected Birmingham to win that game. So we've got 2 more semi-finals tonight. Lancashire at home to Essex at Old Trafford, If it had been Essex, you might have fancied Essex to win on their small ground at Chelmsford with a high run scored. But at Old Trafford, you'd fancy Lancashire, and in the last quarterfinals tomorrow afternoon, and tomorrow evening, should I say? It's the England games are in the afternoons tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday. Somerset versus Derbyshire, and you'd fancy Somerset to be in that. But Derbyshire always seem to sneak through. Players like Wayne Madsen always seem to come and deploy. They always come up with the goods in these T20 games. We don't do a lot in the county championship, but we do a lot in the T20. So you never know what might happen with Derbyshire. But you'd fancy Somerset with the lineup we've got, such like with Abel and Banton and the team and Lewis Gregory. You'd like to think they've got enough in the locker to beat Derbyshire, but you never know. So, and then the finals day is a week tomorrow at Edgbaston. So it's all been condensed because you need to get all the ODIs, the T20s for England, and also the 100 is coming up as well. So I think they're trying to condense it. And some people probably don't like that, and I'm not a big fan myself of condensing it like this. And there's probably too much. We don't need a T20 and a 100, but that's for another day, not for this podcast. Okay, we're moving on from cricket now. We're going to talk about football. FC Halifax Town have signed 2 more players in the last week or so. We've got Manny Dieseruvwe, who's signed for us from, I think it was Tranmere actually. He was on loan last season to Grimsby, and he scored in the playoff. I think he scored 2 out of the 3 playoff games they played actually. I saw one of the games, he definitely scored in that. And we've signed Tyler Golden as well, USA player. I think he was born in the UK, raised in the USA. He's a right back, he's come from Salford, so good luck to both of those players. The fixtures are also out. They came out on Wednesday, and Town start the season with a trip to Barnet on the 6th of August, and that's followed by 2 home games against Torquay and Southend. Torquay the following Saturday the 13th, Southend on Tuesday the 16th of August. Looking at the August bank holiday games, we've got Notts County at home on Saturday the 27th and Scunthorpe away on bank holiday Monday the 29th of August. Christmas, we've got Altrincham away on Boxing Day, and we've got Altrincham at home in a reverse fixture on New Year's Day. And at Easter, we've got Wrexham at home on Good Friday and York away on Easter Monday. So some good fixtures there to look forward to. As one of my friends pointed out, was the away game at Oldham on the 4th of February. So yeah, plenty to look forward to there. Halifax Town, like I say, get the squad together now, getting a decent set of players. First friendly, I believe, is on Tuesday at Fylde. I haven't really checked the friendly. I don't really go to the friendly, so I haven't checked them out. But I think it's Fylde away on Tuesday, the first one. But obviously not far away from the season now. We're only 3 weeks away from the Championship season. It's 4 weeks away to the Premier League and the National League. So not long to wait now. But in the meantime, if you're interested in women's football, the Women's Euro started on Wednesday, and England won the first game. They toiled a little bit, I suppose. They couldn't put Austria away. They won 1-0, but at least they won. Beth Mead's winner in the first half was enough to see them home. It went to the goal line technology. The ball crossed the line after bouncing, after the defender tried to clear off the line onto the crossbar. But yeah, Beth Mead's winner, 1-0 to England. Last night, Northern Ireland struggled a little bit. They got beat 4-1 by Norway. Norway looked a good team. Ireland weren't helped by giving away a penalty for handball in the first half, so they were 3-0 down at half time. Pulled one back just after half time, but then Norway scored with a free kick more or less straight away to make it 4-1. Looked comfortable, could have had a couple more. I think Northern Ireland will be proud of the fact they've got through and scored the goal in international football, but whether they'll get any further, I'm not too sure. I think that might be it for them. So there we are with football at the moment. There's lots of transfers going on with Premier League stuff, but I won't go into that now. We'll look at that nearer the time when the season starts on the 5th of August. Rugby League next, and Halifax Panthers continued their good run with a great victory of 38 points to 12 away to Dewsbury. This weekend they are at Monday night. They're on Premier Sports. They've got York City Knights at the Shea. That should be a good game. Hopefully they'll be looking for a victory before they head to the Summer Bash match at Headingley against Bradford. I think that's the one coming up next. I haven't checked that for definite, but I'm sure that's coming up soon. Might be end of the month, but it's definitely coming up. Okay, that's where the Championship are with the rugby. Halifax keep that good run up. Still trying to catch up with the top teams, but they all keep winning, so it's not difficult to close down the gap. And like I say, I think Lee are probably going to win the title. Wimbledon, and last night the big news came that Rafa Nadal had been qualified for the semi-final by beating Taylor Fritz after a 5th set tie-break. He's had to pull out with an abdominal injury, so that means Nick Kyrgios has got a bye through to the final, where he'll face either Novak Djokovic or Britain's Cameron Norrie. He's done really well to get as far as Cameron. Whether this one's going to be one too far for him, I don't know. I'm sure he'll put up a valiant fight, but Novak might just have that quality, too much quality for him. But we'll see, and we'll know by Sunday evening or late afternoon who the new champion is going to be in the men's game. In the women's tournament, we've got Ons Jabeur, and she's through to the final. She'll be playing the Elena Rybakina. Rybakina beat Simona Halep. I watched a bit of that game yesterday afternoon. Halep was many people's favourite to win it after Iga Swiatek went out, but no, she couldn't quite pull it off against Elena, and she put a good performance yesterday. Ons Jabeur beat Tatiana Marini in the semi-final. So I'd say that's fairly open, that, but probably Jabeur is a slight favourite. I haven't looked at the odds, but I'd guess he's probably the favourite for that one. Speedway, the World Speedway, Ipswich beat Sheffield last night in the final of round 3 of the Premiership pairs, and they're also top of the Premier League after they won for a second time this season at Monmouth Green against Wolves on Monday night. Fairly convincing victory in the end, and that was coupled with previous incumbents of the leaders' spot, Sheffield taking a hammering at Bellevue beating them by 58 points to 32 at the National Speedway Stadium. I went to that meeting. It was a little bit dusty as Rob said, from Sheffield, but the racing was absolutely top draw and some fantastic passing, including one on the grandstand start finishing straight by I think it was Max Frick when he went between both of the Sheffield riders. It was heat 13, so he went between Ellis and Jack Holder, I think it was. But it was a great ride. But Bellevue was better on the night. Some all-round good performance. All the riders chipped in well. Really good performance by James Wright as well. He had some good races, and he deserved his spot in Heat 15, which he won. When Max had an unfortunate engine failure in that race, but good performance all round really. The 4 teams at the top are still looking likely the most teams to beat to playoffs, and we're more or less at the halfway stage of the season now. So yeah, there is live speedway on TV on Monday night. And it is Bellevue, and they take on Kings Lynn at National Speedway Stadium, so should be more entertainment. Always good racing at the National Speedway Stadium, especially now I think they had to put some new shale down at the start of the season. It's bedded in, it looked really good, and it was excellent on Monday, so let's hope we get a really high quality match for both teams. Okay, moving on from that now, and stock cars, and last weekend we saw Kings Lynn meeting dominated by Ryan Harrison, won both his heats. He won the final and finished second from lap handicap in the Grand National, so that's a fantastic performance. And we'll hope to take that form onto this weekend as well for the Speed Weekend at Skegness. 52 cars booked for this weekend. All the top guys there, apart from Frankie Wayman Jr. is not booked in. I don't know if he's maybe a last minute decision, but he didn't race last weekend either, so maybe he's taking some time out at the moment, which he said he might do this season. We have got a couple of surprise entries though. A driver that have like blast from the past. Andy Robinson 140 from High Peak, Stockport Aries, racing for the first time seen for quite a long time. And Carl Pickering 141 from Murfield's back to race. Now I believe he sold one of his cars to the other drivers. He may well be driving that. I can't remember who's got his car, but he's still been in the background all the time. He hasn't been racing. So good luck to those two guys racing this weekend. But you can't see past Harris really. I wouldn't have thought. You never know on tarmac though. Anybody can win because some of the whites and yellows are really fast now. And we've got one last thing to talk about. Rugby Union. I missed it off last week. This weekend I remember to include it. The four home nations or British Isles teams are all in action again in the same order again tomorrow. So we've got New Zealand against Ireland, Australia against England, South Africa against Wales, and Argentina against Scotland, all in the second test of their series. Wales should have beaten South Africa last Saturday, but unfortunately they fell away at the last minute. They'll be disappointed. I think they were 18 points to 3 up at one point, but they lost to the last kick of the game. I think lost 32-29, something like that. So they'll be really disappointed to lose that match. It's such horrible circumstances. But they're all back in action tomorrow. All 4 matches are live on Sky Sports Action. So I think that's about it for this weekend. For this week, should I say. I think I've covered everything I want to cover. So apologies if I've missed anything out, but I hope you've enjoyed watching as always. Thanks for your support. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe on YouTube. Make sure more people are aware of what's going on here and the fact that there's a lot of sports news available here that we might miss. And it's just a nice way of encapsulating it onto say 20 minutes of like news. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, like you say, and it's goodbye from me for now, and I'll see you again next Friday. Bye for now.